Our Field Manual 1067-1, Chapter 28, Section 3, Storage. Storage consideration. At the Tactical Class 3 supply point, you should always show the bulk petroleum in the collapsible tank. If you supply subsection with the petroleum supply company, you can show the 420,000 gallon of bulk petroleum and 120,000 gallons in the fuel system supply point, 300,000 gallons in 650,000 gallon collapsible tanks. The bulk, but the storage and much more of the putting of the product within the tank involves such things as inspecting product circulation, tank repair, even the disposal except for the product. The storage of the bulk petroleum can be dangerous as the receiver of the issue with always file with the applicable procedure. Storage pack with the number of the practice you would always file with the storage pack. Bulk petroleum of the practice are lifted to make sure that you have the separating handle and make sure that the type of the product that you store. Never mix various fuels together. Never mix lid or unleaded gas. Install the filter separate in the supply line with between the storage tank with the dispensing point. Do not store your hose in a way that you will bend them in sharply over the bracket. Do not leave the hose line lying on the ground with a vehicle that may run over them. In addition, put dust caps and plugs on all hoses with which are there not in use to dry any of the water with the collapsible tank through the drain filter. Fitting assembly, clean the lid and strain with the nozzle screen each day with the when you remove the screen with the nozzle pressure from the nozzle first disconnect with the adapter if you find with any of the damaged strain with the screens or repair with the replace them at once. If you find any of the particle with the rubber and the screen with the main show the hose with the deteriorating sediment, scale the rust from the nozzle screen with the main show of the failure of the filter element post. Put dust caps on all nozzles which went whether or not using them to keep the dust and dirt with the sediments from entering the nozzle spout with the contaminating the fuel. Running a string across the top of the collapsible tank so that you do not overfill them. Put the string 4 feet off the ground with a 10,000 gallon collapsible tank. When you top the tank, reach for the string and it means for the tank to fill off. Tank is full. Follow the first in, first out rule for the product that do not deteriorate due to the prolonged storage. The issue packet for the product with damage contained with the first and regardless of the age. Inspect your facility operation regardless. Keep your regularly with the keep record of the inspection test and check with the tank cleaning with the maintenance file with the deficiency ensure they are corrected. Keep equipment records on items and supply point DOD Form 1970 to record and control with the use of the equipment when you do not use the equipment logbook for the purpose of DA Form 2404 to record inspection service before and during and after use of the equipment. The DA PAM 738 750 has more information on the use of the preparation of these records. Inspections are likely key to find out how well the Class 3 supply point performed. They give you the first-hand information on how the equipment of the products are maintained the day of the inspection. Let you make on the sign spoil correction. It also give you the information available to require publication accuracy, supply record, the procedure of the supply economy, practices care of the tools, equipment, and stable status of the unauthorized, established authorized stock level of equipment and repair parts. Follow the system steps below to inspect the Class 3 supply point. Inspect the collapsible tank proposed in the end supply point each day with a sign of the leak of the tears, puncture, unusual wear, fabric deterioration. Inspect the operating equipment with the supply point daily to evaluate operator maintenance to ensure that the equipment is in good working order. Inspect the firefighting equipment training facility with the weekly to see whether they are in good condition. Make sure that the storage area with the free of trash, weeds, and other combustible material. Ensure that the traffic control system often ensure that the traffic is rerouted efficiently so that there's no unnecessary equipment to the area that hinder the traffic movement except for the firefighting equipment. Filter separators. Filter separators help you keep the product clean and water-free with the Class 3 supply point with the steps that should take with the keep the filter separators in good condition that are outlined in Chapter 21. Product consolidation and circulation. When you consolidate and circulate the product, you simply move it from one storage tank within supply point to another. And you should consolidate your stock with several storage tanks that are filled with the product in several areas that are empty, when they can be ready to receive the issue with large quantity of the bulk petroleum on a short notice. You also cut down the number of the tanks and switches you have to make to return the receipt with the issue. To circulate the stock and the end supply point with the heavier portion of the product do not settle in the bottom of the tank. The light ends of the come up to the top. Also, of the circulation, ensure the good mixture of all the additives in the fuel with step-by-step receive the consolidating fuel and the fuel system supply system are given below. Ensure the equipment of the fuel system supply point is ground with the opening of the manifold valve with the collapsible tank from which of the transferred product. Open the suction valve with a 350-gallon pump to assembly with the manifold valve with the collapsible tank with the receiver of the product. With ensure all of the other valves between the two collapsible tanks are open. Make your daily preventive maintenance check with the pump at the start of the pump and idle it for 3 to 5 minutes. Open the discharge valve with the pump and increase the pump at the speed of the operating level. Continue pumping with way until you have finished with the transfer. Figure 28.3 to page 28.11 to show the product moving through the fuel system supply point. Idle the pump back and from 3 to 5 minutes before shutting it off. Close the discharge valve with the pump and the manifold valve with the collapsible tank. While pump begins idling, close the suction valve onto the pump. The emergency tank repair. If any of the collapsible tank develops a leak, of the repair them at once. With the emergency repairs items in the chapter 12 of the cover the tank repairs. Disposal of excess. If you are in a condense or overseas activity, you have the excess of the bulk of the packaged material of 500 gallons or more per product grade. Report the excess and send with the batch with the commander USAPC. Include all your messages of the quantity, the location, type of the product, and send latest laboratory test result. If you are an overseer of the command, also report the access of the appropriate Defensive Fuel Supply Center and field off at the Joint Petroleum Office. Section 4, issue. Testing.